Hi everyone, welcome to episode 91 of the ITSM crowd. This is the second episode that we've done this week because we had a really nice group of volunteers who came to talk to us about being new to service management. So the episode that we did back in June was with Daniel and Ivor, who were coming to the end of their service management careers, and took us through the whole history of ITIL and the things that they'd learned. And it really made me think that we need to hear from the new voices in service management and look a little bit about how people come into service management, what they enjoy about it, the skills that they develop. So we put together these episodes as well, and I think they'll be really useful for anybody who is looking at a career in the service management space. So we're going to start the session by asking our panel to introduce themselves. So I'm going to go around on my screen, which is hopefully in a similar order to yours. But Linda, if you could kick us off, please, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Claire, and thanks for having me. Excited to be here. My name is Linda Zieverink. I'm based in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and I work as a solution consultant at ServiceNow.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And Michael?
Yeah, hi Claire, thanks for the invite. It's a pleasure to be here. Michael King. I'm a service delivery lead working for Logicalis UK.
Thank you. And Anjuska?
Hello everyone, I'm Anjuska Kyllonen from Finland. I'm glad to be here today, and I'm a scientist, but currently I'm working as a senior consultant at Agutter, which is an accredited training organization for ITSM frameworks such as ITIL 4.
Fantastic. Thank you all. And for those of you that are watching us live, we do have the ability to put questions to the panel as well. So if you're watching on YouTube while we're streaming, you can pop your questions into the YouTube chat. I'll see those, bring them up on screen. So if you've got any questions that you want to ask the panel, anything that you want to know, pop them into the chat and we'll pass them on and we'll catch them now. So the first question, because I know from my experience, I didn't leave school intending to work in service management, and talking to my network, I think a lot of people kind of fall into this industry. So the first thing I wanted to ask you all is how you actually started in service management. And I think, Anjuska, I'll come to you first because you've had quite the career change, haven't you?
Yeah, that's true. First, I started as a scientist and now I work in ITSM. But my journey in ITSM actually started last year. I was leading a project, a research project for IT service management for Finland. Mm-hmm. You might be familiar with it. And the project was about automation and employee experience at service desk. So then in January this year, I started as a board member in this association, the ITSM Finland. And in April, I started as a consultant at Agutter. Yeah, so it's quite a change in a year. I'm very happy about it. Yeah.
And I think Anjuska's mentioned there, you can just see that second half of the links on the screen is ITSM Finland. And I have to say, for anybody who's looking at a career in service management, the IT Service Management Forum has national chapters around the world, and it can be such a source for development. You'll meet people, you can get involved in events, you can get involved in publications, speaking. So anybody who is looking at a service management career, I really would recommend you find your local chapter of the ITSMF. It was a huge help to me, even going back sort of 20 years, and you can get all these different experiences, and like Anjuska said, eventually you will probably end up on the board, which can be a mixed blessing. So Michael, if I come to you then next, how did you come into service management?
So I was actually recommended into the industry by my sister-in-law. So before, I was running a construction course for unemployed adults.
Okay.
So yeah, in that role, I sort of realized that I like working with people. So yeah, after that recommendation, I just sort of took the plunge, if you like.
Fantastic. And Linda, how about you?
Well, I actually never heard about service management until I started working at ServiceNow. So I think it's maybe luck or a coincidence that I ended up in IT service management. Because I have a background, or I completed a master's in corporate communication. So I've also worked in communication, and I have a master's in data science. So used to programming, building algorithms. And after I finished my studies, I tried different companies and different roles. And then at a certain point, I started talking to my uncle, who works at a competitor of the company I work now. And he said, well, I think the pre-sales role fits really well with your background. It's a combination of the human aspects and the technical aspect. And he said, yeah, ServiceNow is really well on their way. Let's introduce you to them. And I think timing-wise, it was perfect because they just started with something called the SC Academy, where you are trained for 7 months to become a solution consultant, but also get introduced to the whole IT service management arena, basically. And you get certified in ITIL and IT for IT as well. So that's how it all started, actually, yeah.
Fantastic. So I think, again, just does reinforce the idea that we don't necessarily choose service management chooses us. And it's I think one of the reasons maybe for that is because there isn't this sort of formal career path, and you move, different companies will have very different job titles for pretty much the same role, which does make it a bit challenging sometimes to understand how you might progress within the service management arena. But I think, Michael, you mentioned that you like working with people, and for somebody looking at IT service management, that could be a bit of a shock that it's the people element rather than the technical element that jumps out. What do you enjoy about service management?
Yeah, so it is the people and the process, I guess. Initially, when I was making the transition to service management, that was my biggest concern, the technical side. My brain doesn't work technically, if you like. I'm more breaking things apart and knowing who to speak to get that understanding. So yeah, the technical side, it's useful to know, but as a service manager, you can work on accounts with all different services, and you can't have the technical knowledge of each of those services. So where it can be useful, it I don't know, it could also limit where you choose to go next, because you might want to choose something in that area that you have the technical knowledge in. Whereas I prefer to just keep it service, keep it on the network side, and not dive too much into the technical side just yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Linda, what do you enjoy most about your role?
I think it's the combination of on the one hand, technical side of the role that I'm currently in, and on the other hand, more the people and process side, as Michael mentioned. And yeah, of course, I'm fairly new to IT service management, so I learn everything from theory, from books, but also from encountering with customers. And I've been enjoying it very much, because you basically get to have a look in their kitchen to see how organizations run their services and run their service desk. And then having conversations with all different types of people, basically. Just last Monday, I had a meeting with the CEO, COO, and CIO of one of my customers, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, and they get to tell you what their challenges are, and we get to help them with our software. So that's, I think, the most fun part of my role.
Yeah, absolutely. And the people that we spoke to on Monday when we were discussing this same topic were saying that one of the nice things is no 2 days are the same. You're constantly kind of learning things, meeting new people. What about you, Anjuska? What do you enjoy? Are you never tempted to go back to science?
Well, as you mentioned, the learning part, it's like every day I learn new stuff. That's what I love. That's what I would do in science as well. And in addition, in my work as a trainer, ITIL 4 trainer, I can create new stuff, new kind of ways to present these ideas. And of course, the teaching part, that is very interesting, and I always learn new stuff. So I'm really glad that I didn't have to become a professor to do all that. This is a really good solution for me.
That makes sense. And we've got so David's watching us. Hi, David. Thanks for joining us. And David's asking that he's kind of saying that you've all had a really great journey into service management and it's all been different for all of you. And he's asking, has the reality lived up to the expectations? And I think this links to one of the questions that we kind of discussed, which is maybe, is there anything you find challenging about the role? And Juska, I'll come to you with that one.
Okay, so sure, there are some challenging issues. For example, when I'm teaching, I'm always knowing what is the limit of my understanding. I come to face it, and of course, then I have to cope with that situation, and that boosts my learning for the next round. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of feelings, and you just have to handle all those tricky questions that may come from the audience.
Yes. Yeah, I remember when I was a trainer and ITIL version 3 came out, we were doing the first courses, so I'd barely seen the books, and somebody came and sat in front of me in the classroom, and he had all the books, he printed out all the material, and I thought, oh, this could be tricky. Linda, what about you then? You were recommended into service now. Have there been any challenges or any areas where the expectation hasn't quite been the same as the reality?
Well, when I started, I didn't have much expectations, so I think it eventually turned out to be much more than what I expected. And of course, there are challenges. Actually, I have challenges every day, but I think that's what I also like about the role. It's because you grow every day, because you learn so much and faced with challenges. And what I mentioned before is that sometimes I lack some experience here and there, which results in knowing the limits of what you know about IT service management. And often I also note that it's a very male dominated world, at least in the area where I'm in, which makes it sometimes hard to convince people that you as a more younger person also know or have some good points. But on the other hand, it's also that I find that younger people bring a new or fresh perspective, because they don't have all that baggage with working with legacy and with all the complexity and all the years of experience with trouble in ITSM. So it's also an opportunity to bring some new and fresh perspective, I think.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And Michael, how about you?
Yeah, so thanks for your question, David. The reality has lived up to the expectation, really. As I mentioned before, I enjoy working with people and the networking side, and I haven't really got a sort of technical mind, if you like, anyway. So it's just confirmed that to me, really. You don't need to have a technical background, as long as you're a positive person, you like dealing with people, and you're sort of able to work under pressure is one thing that I've come to learn.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. And just building on that then, Michael, the ability to work under pressure, what skills do you think are important in the service management arena, and maybe what did you bring from your previous experience that's helped you be successful in service management?
I think organisation skills. I mean, in this role, it's not, you can't always plan your week ahead. If something major comes up, then that could take up a large part of your week or day. So communication and organisation, I think. So if you can communicate with people, set expectations, just, you know what it's like when you're on the phone to a service provider. Sometimes you just want them to tell you how long it's going to be, confirm when they're starting to work on it. So I think just setting expectations, having good communication, and organisation skills.
Yeah, that all sounds eminently sensible. And Juska, what about you? Did you bring anything from your science life, and what skills do you use now in your service management role?
Yeah, I think Michael said it very well. I don't have much to add, but if I think one thing is that as a trainer, I need to show my excitement about the subject. It is very important. And otherwise, I think from the science side, it's very important to be systematic in what you do. And maybe at this point, I'm not the right person to evaluate all the things that are needed because I already have those. So now I should speak with someone who is less experienced and then rediscover what I have learned by now.
That makes sense. And Linda, how about you?
Yeah, I fully agree with Michael and Anjuska, and I think it's really all about having the skills to collaborate with other people, as it's very much people focused working in ITSM. And if I look at my role, it's also partially being creative from a certain point, because you can often be lost in a certain specific area, but it really helps as well to see things from a more holistic picture. So that's why in my role I often use online collaboration tools to use basically sticky notes to get more that high level overview. So the ServiceNow platform is meant to be no code, low code. So it's less technical indeed than I expected. But I think some intuition with regards to technology helps, but it's not necessary, so to say.
Yeah, and I think that's a good, quite specific question to ask, is how much technical skills you have, how much you would like to gain in the future. I think, Michael, you mentioned that you don't have a particularly technical brain. Is that something that you want to change, or are you happy with a sort of a general level of knowledge?
The thing is, I'm more about communication and relationship management, if you like. But the amount I've picked up in the 5 years I've been working for Logicalis just goes to show that, or I say I haven't got a technical mind. Some of the things I've learned would probably suggest otherwise. So it's something that I'm familiar with for my customers. I'll continue to gain a knowledge based on the experience that I'm gaining from day to day.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think, Linda, you mentioned earlier on that you'd had ITIL 4 training, IT for IT, and I assume you have product training related to ServiceNow as well. Is there any training that you would recommend, or any training that you hope to do in future that's going to help you develop in your role?
There are many trainings that I would like to follow. I think it's so far I had a lot of product training indeed as well for ServiceNow, which really helps understand the product and the purpose of the product. And then in addition to ITIL and IT for IT, I think I want to focus on other trainings such as Verizon, maybe SIAM as well, to really understand how it fits within the more broader organization, basically. Yeah. So that's what I currently have on my list.
That makes sense. And Anjuska, how about you? I'm guessing as an ITIL 4 trainer, you've got good knowledge of ITIL 4, but what other areas have been helpful for you?
Have been helpful. I have actually a background from data engineering as well. I have done it for some time. And of course, when I have been learning industrial management, then I have had coding courses. And I also went to these workshops for women. They are arranged by Mimmit Kooda in Finland. They also get EU funding, and it's a really great thing to have here in Finland. There are a lot of women who have been excited about coding, and I'm enjoying about it, really. So yeah, I think coding skills are good to have, but not necessary. So it depends on the role that where are you heading for. If you're heading to become a CEO or CIO or something like that, then it may be not that necessary. Depends on your journey. Where do you want to go?
This is true, and I'm going to come back to that in a second when I've asked Michael. What training courses have you done, Michael, and what have you got on your list of things that you'd like to do?
So I've recently completed ITIL 4 Foundation as well, and I'm quite interested in the ITIL framework in general, really. So I'd quite like to give ITIL a bit more of a go and perhaps work towards expert level.
That makes sense. It's I think ITIL is still so much the industry standard for service management. It's always going to help you work within an organization. And back when I started, which was years ago, we were doing ITIL version 2, and then it was ITIL version 3, and now it's ITIL 4. But the big change is, like Linda mentioned, that there are all of these other frameworks and methods like Verism, like SIAM, like Kabashi, business relationship management. So it can be quite challenging. And I think, Anjuska, that's a really good point, is we often get people saying to us, what training would you recommend? And the question that you always have to ask them back is, well, what job do you want to do? If you want to be in cybersecurity, the recommendations are very different to if you want to go into service level management or be a change manager. But I think that's an interesting point to reflect on, given that there isn't a single standard career path for people working in service management. And I would be interested to ask you all how you see yourselves progressing and where you would like to go. And so, Anjuska, you mentioned it, so I will ask you first. Where do you see your service management career developing?
Wow, that's a nice question. I can maybe see myself in those leading roles, like at sea level in the future. It's a big dream, but you have to say it out loud. That's the way you can get there. I also talked with my boss about it when I was hired to this company, and he was very supportive about it. And it's very nice to speak about these dreams and find ways how to develop skills needed for those roles.
That makes absolute sense. And Michael, it's an interview question, this, isn't it? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
So yeah, I've been Logic Artist for 5 years and as a service delivery lead. So the natural progression for me would be to become an SDM, service delivery manager. Although from looking into the ITIL functions, there's quite a few different paths that could be taken. So I've always got my eye out and looking at things that I enjoy, because I think the most important thing is that you enjoy what you do. But yeah, currently I think working towards a service delivery manager is my current goal, and I'm enjoying that coincidentally.
That makes sense. And Linda, how about you?
Well, it's a hard question for me, at least, because I'm not sure. I'm I guess very ambitious and sometimes a bit impatient, because I really would like to progress and learn more about IT service management, but also working in an American software company. So there are many opportunities, and yeah, the strategy I currently have is become really, really good at my current role. So improving on the one hand my technical skills, but on the other hand also my people skills, my presentation skills, and then see where I can take it from there. But no defined plan yet. But
no, it's a difficult question, and still haven't figured out what I want to do when I grow up. So I'm not sure it's one that you can ever answer easily. So Ivana's watching us as well. Hi, Ivana. And Ivana's asking, what do you wish you had known when you started in IT service management? Michael, is there anything you wished you'd known when you'd started in this role?
It would have been more reassuring to know that in the specifically service delivery management, you don't necessarily need a technical background. I think if you're able to communicate, build up a network, and make the most of the team that you work with, I think that was one thing that I would have found reassuring to know 5 years ago.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And Linda, how about you?
I think the thing that I wish I knew before is how diverse and how challenging the working in ITSM actually is, because one of my biggest fears was that I had a job where I was bored every day and that I couldn't really make the whole day full. And yeah, as we mentioned, working in ITSM, every day is different. You never know how tomorrow is going to be like. And then in addition, it's really the combination of technical and more communication skills. So I think if you're looking for that, then you should get familiar with IT service management, learn about it, and just get on board because it's great.
Thank you. And Anjuska, anything that you wish you'd known before you embarked on this journey?
Well, I would have wanted to see different role models. So these young people, as we are now telling about our journey, I would have wanted to meet and know these people. I think it would have helped in many ways because, of course, when you're starting in a new field, you feel kind of not so sure about yourself. So it's very nice to know what kind of people are there. These are still normal people, and they have become experts in that field. So it's very, very nice to have those contacts beforehand.
Oh. Well, the nice thing is that this video is going to be there on YouTube forever, potentially. So you're contributing something to the people who'll come after you. So we're coming towards the end of time now, and we always try and finish with some tips, some advice. And I think what I'd like to ask you all is about the resources and the kind of the things that have been helpful to you, which actually relates to a question that's just come in from Sad Geek. Hello, Sad Geek. I don't know who you are in the real world, but I think so. Anjuska, if I come to you first, because you've mentioned ITSM Finland, you've mentioned the coding and the networking sessions that you've been to. Are there any other resources that have been helpful to you as you establish yourself?
Yeah, I think the mentorship that I have built upon these LinkedIn networking events is very important. I met my mentor there, so I highly recommend everyone to be open to new people in LinkedIn, to find the right people around you. Mm-hmm. And of course, one thing, when I was younger, I was scared of failing, and then I had this kind of little crisis, and then I realized that, okay, I really have nothing to lose. If I want to learn coding, if I want to become a CEO, why not? And it was very, very important moment for me. And then I started to ask, I started to find the right people. I started to build my LinkedIn network. It was very important for my career, and I'm sure it will be important for yours as well. And I'm very open to your invitations in LinkedIn. I would like to discuss your career goals and help you as well.
Fantastic, thank you. And yeah, the whole networking concept can be quite scary, I think, particularly early in your career. But absolutely, you know, the relationship that you made 10 years ago sometimes is the thing that secures you your new role. Linda, how about you? Are there any resources that you would recommend?
Yeah, definitely leveraging your network. Before I started working at ServiceNow, I had coffee with many people from my direct network, but also I found that people are very, very easy to connect you to people from their network. So just ask to people that are close to you if they know people that are working in IT-related organizations, and just be bold, have a coffee with them to get to know these people. So because you then learn what you like about their roles, what you like about IT service management. Yeah, and what Anjuska mentioned, go to networking events. I often go to women in tech kind of events as well, to meet other women working in tech. And I think LinkedIn is still a very good place to find people, to find profiles, organizations that you could potentially explore.
Fantastic, thank you. And Michael, how about you?
Yeah, probably no different to what Anjuska and Linda have said. To be honest, I haven't really got anything further to add. Just make a phone call, or don't be afraid to just to speak to somebody. You never know where it can end up.
Yeah, and as Anjuska said, I'm sure all of our panel would be open to connecting with people on LinkedIn and carry on that conversation if you want to. But yeah, some great recommendations there. And one of the few positives about the last 12 months is what used to be kind of local networking events. I used to go to DevOps Leads and Agile in Leeds. Everything's online now. So you have this amazing opportunity to network virtually with people all around the world at these events that you perhaps wouldn't have been able to get to previously. So that's been an amazing discussion, lots of really, really helpful advice. So thank you so much to our panel for being with us. We're still confirming the date for our August episode of the ITSM Crowd, but we're going to be joined by Petra Velzeboer, who is an expert on mental health, and we're going to be talking about mental health in the workplace, and particularly as in some countries we transition back from remote working into the office, any kind of particular strategies that can help us handle that there. So keep an eye out on our Twitter and our social media channels, and you'll see the date for that as soon as we've fixed it. But for now, it just remains for me to say huge thank you to Michael, to Anjuska, to Linda. You've been absolutely fantastic today. Thank you to everybody who's been watching us as well. Really appreciate your comments and your questions. And we'll see everybody on the next episode of the ITSM Crowd. So thank you very much, panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.